using the same passage as our guide, just like we did for the preamble, we're now going to use that same passage to look at the sentence method. Like I said earlier on in my video, the sentence method is simplest and more preferable because it's straightforward. Now we looked at the passage in the preamble method. Let's look at the passage again in the sentence method. And in the preamble, I told you that to be able to answer questions, you must read the questions first. After looking at the question, you read the passage the first time slowly, and then the passage again the second time, before you now mark out areas where you have the answers to the question. Since we've already done that for the preamble method, we'll just go to the question and read the question, and then find how the answers are, why the answers are referred to as the sentence method instead of the preamble method. Now let's look at the question. In 2 sentences, one for each, summarize what is likely to follow the continuing rapid population growth. In 2 sentences, one for each, summarize what is likely to follow the continuing rapid population growth. Remember, we are looking at the sentence method. We don't have preamble. And since using the sentence method, we are going to look at the 2 sentences. Hello viewers, and welcome to my channel. I am Mrs Oifo Osifuye. In this video, I'll take you through the step-by-step technique of how to read and answer questions in summary writing in WAEC, NECO, and NABTEB. Please, if this is your first time, subscribe to my channel to enable me post more videos. Like, share, and hit the notification button to get alerted when I upload new videos. To answer questions in summary, you must know what summary is. Summary is giving a concise overview of a text's main points in your own words. You must note that your answers must be written out in sentences. For you to be able to give your answers to summary questions, you must do the following. You must read the passage and understand what the passage is about. So here are the rules. 1. Read the questions to enable you find out what you want to see in the passage, what you want to summarize in the passage. 2. Read the passage slowly. One reading cannot give you what the passage is talking about. After that first reading, read the passage again. But this time, mark out areas with the relevant information for the questions that you have read. Then, the next thing to do is to rewrite your answers in your own words, making sure you don't exceed the number of sentences required. These sentences must be concise, expressing what needs to be said without unnecessary words. For summary writing, your answers can be presented in 2 ways: the preamble method and the sentence method. Now we're going to look at them one after the other. For the preamble method, you make use of a single introduction to present your answers and use a semicolon to separate them. You must note that a mistake in the preamble will affect all the answers under it, so be very careful when using the preamble method. Also note that each answer can only be a complete sentence with the preamble. Now let's use the extract from the passage below as our guide. You must follow the rule earlier on discussed in the video, whereby you must first of all read the question. After reading the question, you go to the passage. Read the passage slowly the first time. The second time you read the passage, you are going to find out areas where you have answers to the questions that you have just read. After doing that, you go to the passage again and then rewrite your answers in your own words. Now we are using the passage. Now, because of the things we have said, we are now going to look at the question. The question says, read after me. In two sentences, one for each, summarize what is likely to follow the continuing rapid population growth. That is the question. Now we have seen the question, we are now going to look at the passage that we have. So, we need not be surprised that the whole population is 7 billion. Indeed, in the next quarter of a century, another billion may be added, and by the end of this century, we may have double the present number. But in this lies another danger, that of gross overpopulation. If the present trend continues unabated, the planet Earth may soon become too small to house mankind. For example, arable land may be grossly inadequate to support food production for the very large population. Also, if the population continues to grow unchecked, there will be too many people who may contribute to polluting the environment. Just imagine the amount of waste that will be generated daily by homes, industries, and institutions. These waste and debris, if not collected regularly and disposed of properly, may lead to environmental degradation. We should therefore watch it. That is our first reading. Now we are going to read the second time. When we read the second time, we will now identify those areas where the answers to the questions we have read will be seen. Now let's go to the passage again. So we need not be surprised that the world population is 7 billion. Indeed, in the next quarter of a century, another billion may be added, and by the end of this century, we may have double the present number. But in this lies another danger. From here, we identify, but in this lies another danger, that of gross overpopulation. If the present trend continues unabated, the planet Earth may soon become too small to house mankind. If you look at this sentence, you realize that the question we just read directs our answer to this place, because in the question we are looking at continuing rapid population growth. Now you can see that in this sentence lies another danger, that of gross overpopulation. If the present trend continues unabated, the planet Earth may soon become too small to house mankind. So use your pencil or your biro to mark out this area, because this is the area that answers a part of the question that we have just read. And then let's continue again. For example, arable land may be grossly inadequate to support food production for the very large population. Also, if the population continues to grow unchecked, there will be too many people who may contribute to polluting the environment. Just imagine the amount of waste that will be generated daily by homes, industries, and institutions. These waste and debris, if not collected regularly and disposed of properly, may lead to environmental degradation. Remember the question we are looking at. Continuing rapid population growth. So you can see that the likely answer again is from this area where we have marked out. Just imagine the amount of waste that will be generated by daily homes, industries, and institutions. These waste and debris, if not collected regularly and disposed of properly, may lead to environmental degradation. This is talking about the preamble method. Now, if the question has asked us, we are now going to, since we have identified the areas where we have the answers to these questions, we are going to use the preamble method to give our own answer in our own words, because if you lift, you are going to get a 0. Now, continuing rapid population growth may likely be, that is our preamble. Remember what I told about preamble in the video. The preamble must go along with the two answers. If you don't put the preamble, that means the answer is not a complete sentence, and that makes you to score half of the mark for that particular question. Continuing rapid population growth may likely be 1. Making planet Earth too small to accommodate mankind, which we found in the passage. 2. Leading to environmental degradation. You can see that in the first sentence we use the semicolon to demarcate, to show that that's the end of that particular sentence, and the second sentence is leading to environmental degradation. But if you pick the answers like that, it does not work. It will not give you a complete sentence. So the preamble must also be part of the question, the answer you are going to write down as your final answer. That means it must come together and it must rhyme. Continuing rapid population growth may likely be making planet Earth too small to accommodate mankind. Sentence 1. Continued rapid population growth may likely be leading to environmental degradation. That is sentence 2. And like you all know, in summary, the question, each question carries 5 marks. And since you're using the preamble method, if you only write this answer without putting the preamble, they are going to minus half of the mark of that particular question. And since it's 5 marks, it's not going to be 5 minus 2 and then half. That means you already lost 2.5 marks. And what affects sentence 1 will also affect sentence 2. So if you make a mistake in sentence 1 in the preamble, it will affect sentence 1 and sentence 2, making you lose 2.5 marks each for each question. So if you are using the preamble method, you have to be very careful to make sure that the answer you are going to write must go along with the preamble to make the sentence complete. Let's look at the second method, which is called the sentence method. For the sentence method, the answers are written in complete sentences. You begin your sentence with a capital letter and end with a full stop. The sentence method is the simplest and the most preferable. We advise students that students should use the sentence method because it's easier to write answers out straight instead of using the preamble method. Remember that for summary writing, it's very easy to score your 30 marks and also very easy to score 0/30. 0 is a legitimate mark in WAEC. So take note as you answer your questions. So pick the method that you know is easiest for you to use to answer your questions. Using the same passage as our guide, just like we did for the preamble, we're now going to use that same passage to look at the sentence method. Like I said earlier on in my video, the sentence method is simplest and more preferable because it's straightforward. Now we looked at the passage in the preamble method. Let's look at the passage again in the sentence method. And in the preamble, I told you that to be able to answer questions, you must read the questions first. After looking at the question, you read the passage the first time slowly, and then the passage again the second time, before you now mark out areas where you have the answers to the question. Since we've already done that for the preamble method, we'll just go to the question and read the question and then find how the answers are, why the answers are referred to as the sentence method instead of the preamble method. Now let's look at the question. In 2 sentences, one for each, summarize what is likely to follow the continuing rapid population growth. In 2 sentences, one for each, summarize what is likely to follow the continuing rapid population growth. Remember, we are looking at the sentence method. We don't have preamble, and since using the sentence method, we are going to look at the two sentences standing on their own. The first answer there is 1. Continuing rapid population growth may make planet Earth too small to accommodate mankind. Continuing rapid population growth may make planet Earth too small to accommodate mankind. That is sentence 1. Sentence 2. Continuing rapid population growth may lead to environmental degradation. Continuing rapid population growth may lead to environmental degradation. You can see that in the sentence method, we have written out two sentences on their own. They stand on their own. There's no preamble. And so when you look at the two kinds of methods, you realize that the sentence methods is simpler, easier to write, especially under examination condition. You are sure that you are not going to make mistakes. But if, for example, you now decide to use the preamble method, you must make sure you follow the rules so that you do not lose marks. Because in summary writing, the penalty for not answering the questions properly is for you to lose marks. Each penalty has its own mark you are going to lose. So you must avoid making such mistakes so that you don't find yourself losing marks. Because summary is that aspect of English where you can score your 30 over 30, and it's also an area where you can score 0 over 30 if you do not follow the rules that have been recommended. We have looked at the two different ways to present summary answers. And like I said earlier on, the sentence method is the simplest and preferable. But if you have to use the preamble method, you must follow the instructions to the letter to enable you score high when answering questions. Having looked at how to read and answer questions on summary passages, you should take note of the following rules. There are rules that you have to avoid. You must avoid what is called mindless lifting. Learn to use your own words. Do not write two answers for your questions. For your question, only one will be marked if you do that, and the other will be regarded as irrelevant, thereby losing marks. So avoid such. Do not exceed the number of sentences required. If you have to write 6 sentences, write 6 sentences. Also avoid inclusion of irrelevant materials. When you do this, there's a penalty, and the penalty is deduction of marks. Avoid grammar or spelling errors. If you do this, there's also a deduction of mark. Do not give your answers in phrases or incomplete sentences. And when using the preamble, please do so correctly. If you have not watched my previous video on how summary questions are set, please do so for a better understanding. Then you find out how questions are set. And in this video, you found that you also look at how questions are answered. Let us know in your comment section if there's anything you want us to know. Like, share, and click on the notification button so that you can be alerted when we have new videos. See you in my next video, where I'll treat how to answer questions on essay writing. Thank you for your time.